I wanted to ask you, and something that Renee, I've actually had in my mind that I've never really had a chance to ask you, what made you, was there like an event or what made you start the Academy of Mindful Movement?
I saw some people in a gym moving in such an unmindful way that I really feared for their long-term health. And it just made me wonder, gosh, who's teaching the teachers of these people? Who's teaching their coaches? I don't know anybody who's teaching them to move mindfully. Maybe I better do it.
I know from our previous discussion, people can be moving maybe with proper form or something, but it might not be mindful. So what is the difference between mindful moving? I don't know if it's something that you can see or it's more something you experience.
When somebody is being mindful, it's the opposite of somebody putting on some music, getting on a treadmill, reading a book, and going. That's doing everything one can to ignore the fact that the body's in motion. So being mindful is being present in our bodies while we're moving. And that has a lot to do with tuning into body sensation. When we tune into body sensation, first of all, we notice when it might hurt and we need to make adjustments. Second of all, we don't just need to be avoiding pain, we can actually be embracing that feels good.
Oh, that is beautiful. Let's tap into that feels good part because, of course, a lot of people talk about exercises maybe, difficult or hard or challenging, but when it feels good, there's tons of benefits to it. Will you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, we empower people to really tune into their own body sensation to the extent that sometimes it means not exactly following the instructor, the coach, because one's feeling one's way into it to make sure it's right for our body. No bodies are exactly the same. So we do these little tweakings to make it feel right in our body. And yes, we can get all sorts of great workout. And we know the difference between that good sore, that good ache, and something that's been damaging. So we go for what really is going to make us feel good.
I love that. And I could see some people hearing about enhancing mindfulness into our practice being something that, that'd be nice to have, or like that, that's cool, but maybe, kind of far out. I have experienced and heard people talking about mindfulness enhances performance significantly, right? You always hear about visualization and, meditative work from people like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Olympian athletes, right? Yeah. Will you tell me a little bit about what mindfulness has to do with peak performance?
Well, as a former gymnast, I know that when I would lose my focus, that would be the point of danger. That would be the point of lack of performance. I almost felt as if my mind was holding on like a zip line of consciousness. And if I let go, there went my performance. So mindfulness is training us to use that mind to maintain concentration, maintain focus, to be here now.
I love that. And would you say that, I've heard people talk about mindfulness as, a lot of people think of it as like meditation, but like, you can be mindful while you're moving, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
How does being mindful while moving enhance other areas of your life outside of that specific movement?
Most of us are, or potentially should be, in motion a lot of our days. And often it's just these little things that can cause us to get injured that then affect our performance in whatever the movement practices that we do. For example, I know someone who simply put out his little finger for a toddler to grab his hand, and he wrenched his entire back. Whereas when we're moving mindfully, when we are used to attuning ourselves to our body sensation, we do these little micro adjustments all the time during daily life. He could have dropped his tail, softened his knee, and been really watchful as he was leaning toward that little child. But he didn't know any of those things. He's a university professor. He just stuck his little finger out, and out went his back. So we are really teaching people to be present in the body all the time.
That's beautiful. And I'm sure it's also like anything else, it's going to help you be present in conversations and work. time with your loved ones. It's just another way to practice discipline. That's such a good example. Thank you. So it kind of answers the next question I had for you about who needs mindfulness practice while they're moving. I think I know the answer to that one.
Yes, you do. And, the people that the Academy trains at the beginning are the people who are teaching others to move, whether it's in an athletic field, in a field of performance, in a field of fitness exercise, a therapeutic, or a recreational context. And so we are training the teachers, the coaches, the trainers. And then they, in turn, are going out and training the public. That includes a lot of people.
Yeah, that must be empowering to learn how to move mindfully and share that with others, right? Will you just tell me a little bit about what you think that does to enhance the coach, the instructor, and their abilities to, share their wisdom?
Well, first of all, we make sure that we teach self-coaching so that this is really a practice with integrity. What we are doing as coaches, as instructors, needs to come from what we are doing in our daily lives. What are we really practicing? So the Academy makes sure that we're self-coaching as well as training others. We really focus, as I mentioned, on this attention to body sensation. That helps us to be grounded in the here and now. We do use the mind to focus. Find an intention that you can carry all the way through your lesson, kind of like that zip line. And so that allows us, in a world that has a lot of broken consciousness, that is getting our attention spans shorter and shorter and shorter, to extend out our attention span longer. And that has a very settling effect. And you would think that this wouldn't even be necessary. And in today's world, I find that it is. We also really invite people to find joy. And we just make sure that it's part of every practice. It shouldn't be drudgery. It should be something we're looking forward to. And then we do it more and more. So you can see how that could also affect the coaches, the instructors' life too. Making room for joy, a little imagination, a little laugh, a little play.
Joy is a beautiful thing. And, I see that it gets people in the sense of flow. Have you heard from people that you train that, what your coaching relates to flow in certain ways?
Flow is all about being present in the moment. You're nowhere else. You're right here, right now. The challenge level needs to be just about right. You can't be doing something that is just too difficult. And on the other hand, if it is too simple, you get bored and lose concentration. So maintaining that flow state does have to do with that certain degree of edge. And holding an intention, like that zip line, through a lesson does provide that, first provides something to flow along. And it also provides this kind of line of concentration. No matter what your movement practice is, you're still maintaining this line of concentration. So it's challenging, not too challenging, but enough that it's possible to get into that flow.
There's definitely a benefit to being on that edge of challenging, and I love the way you kind of describe that. For those who are hearing this and just, love this concept, right, and want to understand how they can bring mindfulness into their movements today, do you have a recommendation, like one small thing that they can do to start now?
Yes, I do. Every time you find yourself spinning out in any way, find a particular body part to tune into. One of the things that's very helpful for some people is to ground into their feet, really just sense the soles of your feet. Another thing, especially if one has a tendency to be a little anxious, maybe if one's feeling dizzy, is to find that point 2 inches below the navel. Breathe into it. And just watch how that whole nervous system settles down. It frees the mind then from this just to be in that.
So calming just being around somebody like you. I feel calm yet energetic, and then I think clear. Thank you for sharing that. Now, this is a little more of an abstract thought, right? We're trying to train people to train others how to teach their current movement discipline mindfully. What would be an example of that? Like if you were to coach someone, to still coach them in gymnastics or yoga or whatever the sport or movement is mindfully, do you mind sharing like maybe what an example would be like that to bring some color to it?
We teach people to coach their movers to find their safe edge. So especially if we're moving into a move that could potentially be risky, for example, and we know that it could be. First of all, we're empowering our movers. We're saying, you are the ones who are going to keep your safe edge. I can't keep your edge safe for you. You're the one who's in charge of your body. So really tune into that body. Now, as we move into this move, I want you to sense exactly how far you can go and still be safe. Depending on what the move is, it's going to be in different ways. But that's what we as the coach know. We know where are those edges where it could turn into a not safe area for our movers, and yet they need to find it for themselves. Does that mean that we are going to just say, okay, here's a great big pile of weights, just choose whatever you like, No, we still are using our wisdom to help guide them, our experience, our knowledge. Yet, as we have them move into something gradually, we have them sense their body's way into doing it.
Beautiful. So it's an integration into the movement that people are doing today. That helps me clarify, absolutely. And tell me a little bit about the Academy and the course that you're offering. What exactly is the course you're offering, and what is someone going to see from it?
Well, the course is designed for people who are experienced teachers, experienced coaches. They need to have at least 5 years of experience on their own in their practice, and at least 2 years of that experience needs to be as a teacher or a coach. We are not teaching you to teach your own movement practice. That's for you to learn from those experts that know that field. What we do, you come to the Academy, is then we take all of that training instruction that you have and we add on to it the elements of mindfulness. So there are going to be elements in the body that we're going to help you with, elements in the emotional nature so that your movers feel really good being with you and they always want to come back. We have that mapped out for you. We also have the mind training that I was talking about, this setting intentions and carrying that through. And we get a little bit into self-awareness. So we're more aware of who we are.
Beautiful.
This is a 10-week program. At the moment, we're doing it entirely online, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can take it. 1 hour a week will be independent study. 2 hours will be meeting as a group. There's so much individualized attention. The maximum size of any group is 12, and there are 2 trainers for 12 people. And then we break into 1 hour a week of a group half that size. So we have lots of opportunity to let you try out all of these different techniques and methods that we are teaching you. Put them into your movement practice. Try them out on us. And then you'll be ready at the end of this 10-week course to go out and really have a much more mindful practice with your movers.
That's so beautiful. That's actually what I was going to ask, would be, what does the commitment look like? Renee, if I had to ask you one last question, thought, as a way to summarize it, why mindful movement, or whatever comes to your mind as like a lasting thought for people? If you have anything to share, please do let me know.
We are whole human beings. We're not just walking around bodies. We're whole human beings. And so are our movers. And so if we can approach our movers as those whole human beings who have bodies, we want them to perform at their just very best. We want those bodies to stay as safe and healthy as they can so they can do this practice long into their lives or transition to other practices. And we want them to feel good. We want them to feel good about themselves and what they're doing. And we want to have those clear minds that can allow them to really be open, focused, and also invite this element of joy that can pervade the rest of their lives. I think that's what we want. We care about our movers, and we want them to lead the best lives that they can with our instruction, with our coaching.
Thank you so much for that, Renee. I really appreciate that.